Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. My name is Ryder, and this is a beginner's guide to Junker Queen. In this video, we will go over the basic abilities and playstyle of the hero so you can, jump into quick play or competitive and have an idea of what to do. Keep in mind, in order to master a hero on Overwatch, you will need to devote a lot of practice. These heroes are not just, you can't just jump in and just immediately start rolling people. This is just a way to get you started, and that way you don't just walk in and you're completely blind on how this hero works. As always, guys, if you like the video, please feel free to like, comment, subscribe down below, ding the notification bell so you know whenever I send another video. Check the description down below. My Twitch link will be there, where I stream pretty often. But without further ado, let's jump into it. So, Junker Queen is pretty straightforward. She is a tank hero, which means her whole job is to basically protect the team and be the main focus. You have less knockbacks as the tank. You don't generate ultimate. Basically the way they describe it is you generate less ultimate by healing and damage received. So that's essentially the way it works. Healers are going to generate less ultimate off of you, and so will DPS. She also has a passive ability where all damage over time effects, it heals her. So basically, a lot of her abilities you will see puts a dot on the target, causing them to bleed over time, and she is healed over time by the bleed damage she heals. So that's kind of the way that she sustains herself. Her primary fire is her scattergun, which is basically a pump action shotgun that she has 6 shots in. One thing to note with this, reload speed is not the fastest, and there's not a whole lot of drop off from the shot like most shotguns would have. There is a little bit. You do want to get a little close, but it's not crazy. You can still be a decent distance away. Right here we have a tracer. As you can see, I'm kicking her for about a third of her health each time I shoot her. But of course, obviously, if I get close enough, I'll absolutely delete her in 2 shots. So, obviously you want to be closer if you can, but you don't have to worry about it all that much. Also, the other ability she has, and probably one of her more fun abilities, is her Jagged Blade, or as other people call her, oh god, what was the name of the dagger? I can't remember the name of the dagger. Well, whatever, I'm gonna get roasted for that in the comments. Anyway, this dagger, she's kind of like a Jedi. She throws the blade at a target, and then she can bring it back. If it hits the target, it will drag them in. So as you can see here, I'm going to shoot, I'll throw the dagger at this target here. You hold the R1 button, and she'll pull into you, which lines up a shot with a shotgun. It is important to note, there is a timer on the dagger. So if I throw this at a target and I just leave it alone for a second, they will be pulled in regardless at the end of the timer, as you can see. This does put a bleed on them, so you will receive healing from the dot that gets put on them. So basically, with the Jagged Dagger, you can throw it, and whatever target you hit, you hold it in. You can either immediately hold the right-click button and drag them in to line up a shot, or you can wait for it to time out and then do it. Either way it goes, that is a good way to play it. Also, it is worth noting, if you miss the target, as you can see here, you can drag it back. It will still put a bleed on any target that it goes through on the way back. You should really use this dagger pretty much any chance you can. It doesn't have a very long cooldown. It's 6 seconds. So you can throw this pretty much anytime you have an opening, just so that you can get that generated passive healing, possibly land a really good easy drag in to line someone up for a good kill, especially if you can hit it on like a Mercy and drag her out of position so that your DPS can melt her down. So that's, the blade is a key point of Junker Queen's arsenal. Definitely take advantage of it and abuse the hell out of the enemy team with it. On top of that, her other ability is her Carnage Axe. Now this axe is kind of a double-edged sword in a way, or double-edged axe. Haha, but anyway, basically this ability causes her to pull her axe off her back, and she swings it down on her enemy. It does put a bleed on the target, and it is on cooldown for approximately 6 seconds. And it does do a pretty hefty amount of damage. Now, one downside of this thing is it does have a pretty high windup, and you are vulnerable when you use it, so you don't want to just run in randomly and just swing this thing unless you are really, pocketed or you're in a good position, because if you do, you could leave yourself open to getting melted down. Junker Queen is very strong in sustainability, but if everybody focuses her and she doesn't have a lot of healing on her, she will melt pretty quick. She's not going to be able to survive in an outnumbered fight very long by herself. Now, a couple of combos that you can do with this, of course, is with the Jagged Blade, connect, drag, and you can accident. I failed with that training bot because the steps stopped it, but you get the point. You know, you can basically throw it in. I'm gonna wait for my axe to go to cooldown here. We'll do it, drag him in, and wow, bam. Now, as you can see, you can just finish him off that way. This ability is very, very, very fun to use. It's a good way to get an easy bleed. It can hit multiple targets in a row. Definitely try to line up the shot and use it when you can. Her other ability she has, and probably one of her more powerful abilities that a lot of people are actually a little annoyed at right now, is called Commanding Shout. This ability grants you temporary health and movement speed to yourself and all allies. I hit it, and as you can see, she just jumped over 200 health. And she has a very fast movement speed. It has a pretty hefty 15-second cooldown, so you do want to be smart about when you use this. You don't want to just use it whenever. If your team's getting focused, if you hear like a Riptire on the way, you know, that's a good way to kind of counteract a heavy ult that's going to really mess up your team. If your team has the advantage, it's a good way to hit it, and you can press the advantage with your team. Because remember, this buff does not just go on you, it goes on all of your allies within a radius. So you want to be able to capitalize on that the best way possible, either offensively or defensively. Don't just use it on cooldown. It's a good thing to use when you're pressing the advantage or when you hear the voice line of a very nasty ult, and you can kind of counteract that ult with the Commanding Shot, either to save your teammates or save yourself. And then last but not least, we have the ultimate, which is Rampage. This move is deadly. This move causes Junker Queen to dash forward, and she dashes pretty good distance. Anyone she hits in the path gets a bleed put on them, and they go purple or anti-healed, which means they will receive no healing for the entirety of the time you do it. And you go through the target and dash forward. You do a pretty hefty amount of damage, and it opens up the enemy team to a pretty deadly combo. You should definitely use this whenever there is a group of enemies in front of you. Your team's ready to push the advantage. It's a good combo with something like, say, you know, Junkrat's Riptire, or a Shatter for, well, you know, you can't shatter with a Reinhardt, but Junkrat's Riptire or a Reaper's Blossom, something like that that can finish off the targets. Because of that anti-nade that goes, or that anti-healing that goes into place when you use it. It is definitely best comboed with another ultimate, but you can use it on your own. Just be mindful that you probably won't kill a bunch of people with it. It's more of a setup ultimate, unless everybody's already low health when you use it. As far as strengths and weaknesses, Junker Queen, as I said before, she has self-sustain. Her Commanding Shout is very strong. She operates best when she has somebody kind of pocket healing her, because at that point she's almost unkillable. It's absurd, actually. And she can pump out a ridiculous amount of damage for a tank in no time at all. So, you know, pretty much any type of dive comp really works well with Junker Queen as long as she's getting pocketed. Strengths are obvious here. You know, anything that can get pushed out of position by somebody getting up in your face. You know, again, something like a Widowmaker would be pretty weak to Junker Queen if she gets up close enough. But you also want to think about any kind of DPS hero that has low health pools, like a Sojourn or a Soldier 76. Or anything, or a Sombra, anything like that that has a lower health pool. She can basically just delete in no time at all. So you definitely want to capitalize on that. Weakness-wise, you also have to be mindful the dagger is useless against shields. So you don't want to try throwing it into a Reinhardt shield or a Winston shield. It won't do you a lick of good. Obviously, this will be, you know, a little difficult as well against, say, an Orisa, because of the high amount of health pool and the immunity with her shielding. All of those things are things to keep in mind. Anything with very high damage output is kind of a threat to Junker Queen if she is not being pocketed. So Reaper is definitely a threat to her, just like he is to most tanks, as well as things like Sojourn, Bastion, things like that, that really pump out a lot of damage in a short span of time. Her heal over time effects are not super high, so you can't just sit there and be like, yeah, I'm gonna take on this Reaper 1v1, because if the Reaper's skilled enough, he will delete you pretty quick. But anyway, that right there is the beginner's guide to Junker Queen. If you guys liked the video, please feel free to like and comment or subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next one. Please let me know in the comments down below if you have any other questions. Thanks. Have a good one. Bye.